Hi everyone, this is chapter 21, I Settle My Tab summary. So, after the epic battle between Percy and Ares, there was a lot of explosions, a lot of things blowing up and damage. So at the start of this chapter, they explain what happened. So, according to the LA News, the explosions at Santa Monica Pier had been caused when a crazy kidnapper fired a shotgun at a police car. He accidentally hit a gas main that ruptured during the earthquake. This crazy kidnapper, aka Ares, was the same man who abducted me and two other adolescents in New York and brought us across country on a 10-day odyssey of terror. Poor little Percy Jackson wasn't an international criminal after all. He'd caused a commotion on the Greyhound bus in New Jersey trying to get away from his captor, and afterward, witnesses would even swear that they'd seen the leather-clad man on the bus. Why didn't I remember him before? The crazy man had caused the explosion in the St. Louis Arch, after all. No kid could have done that. A concerned waitress in Denver had seen the man threatening his abductees outside her diner, gotten a friend to take a photo, and notified the police. Finally, brave Percy Jackson, I was beginning to like this kid, had stolen a gun from his captor in Los Angeles and battled him shotgun to rifle on the beach. Police had arrived just in time. But in the spectacular explosion, 5 police cars had been destroyed and the captor had fled. No fatalities had occurred. Percy Jackson and his 2 friends were safely in police custody. The reporters fed this whole story. He just nodded and acted tearfully and exhausted, which wasn't hard, and played victimized kids in for the cameras. All I want, I had, choking back my tears, is to see my loving stepfather again. Every time I saw him on TV calling me a delinquent punk, I knew somehow we would be okay. And I know he'll want to reward each and every person in this beautiful city of Los Angeles with a free major appliance from his store. Here's the phone number. The police and the reporters were so moved that they passed around the hat and raised money for 3 tickets on the next plane to New York. So Percy is going to fly back. Now, once they get to New York, they decide to split up. And so Percy is going to go to the Empire State Building. Grover and Annabeth are going to Camp Half-Blood. And if you can see on my shelf, this is the Empire State Building with King Kong as stuff starts to fall. Okay, was at the time the tallest building in New York. So Percy goes there and he needs to get to the 600th floor. He goes ask the security guard, and the security guard's like, no, there's no 600th floor. And Percy's like, but I have to see Zeus, and he's saying, you gotta have an appointment. So Percy knows he's in the right place, and in order to get up to that floor, Percy shows the Master Bolt, and they quickly usher him to the elevators to go to Mount Olympus. And Mount Olympus is explained, or I should say described. I was standing on a narrow stone walkway in the middle of the air. Below me was Manhattan from the height of an airplane. In front of me, the white marble steps wound up the spine of a cloud into the sky. My eyes followed the stairway to its end, where my brain just could not accept what I saw. Look again, my brain said. We're looking. My eyes insisted. It's really there. From the top of the clouds rose the decapitated peak of a mountain, its summit covered with white snow. Clinging to the mountainside were dozens of multi-leveled palaces, a city of mansions, all with white-colored porticos, gilded terraces, and bronze braziers, glowing with 1,000 fires. Roads wound crazily up to the peak where the largest palace gleamed against the snow. Precariously perched, gardens bloomed with olive trees and rosebuds. I could make out an open-air market filled with colorful tents, a stone amphitheater built on one side of the mountain, a hippodrome, and a coliseum on the other. It was an ancient Greek city, except it wasn't in ruins. It was new and clean and colorful, the way Athens must have looked 2,500 years ago. This place can't be here, I told myself. The tip of a mountain hanging over New York City like a billion-ton asteroid? How could something like that be anchored above the Empire State Building in plain sight of millions of people and not get noticed? Pretty good question, if you ask me. So Percy manages to get to Zeus's throne room, and he sees the two gods. He sees Zeus, who's dressed in a nice pinstripe suit, looking all businesslike. And then he sees his dad, Poseidon, wearing a Tommy Bahama shirt and shorts. Tommy Bahama shirts are like button-up shirts with sometimes really wild prints on them. So Poseidon's being very relaxed. And they even described Poseidon's throne as not as necessarily a throne, but like a seat on a deep sea fishing vessel, like a fancy thing to catch super big fish. So Percy arrives and he says hello to his father first, then Zeus. And Zeus is not impressed. And I don't know, I wouldn't be making Zeus any angrier than I'd have to, but Poseidon says, well, he just said hello to his father first, isn't that right? And Zeus relents. So Zeus believes Percy's story. He tells everything what happened. He returns the Master Bolt, but he still can't believe that Ares would have turned to the bad guy's side. And Percy gives him a little bit of his information. He said Ares didn't act alone. Something else came up with the idea. I described my dreams and the feeling I'd had on the beach, that momentary breath of evil that seemed to stop the world and made Ares back off from killing me. In the dreams, I said, the voice told me to bring the bolt to the underworld. Ares hinted that he had been having dreams too. I think he was being used, just as I was, to start a war. You were accusing Hades after all? Zeus asked. No, I said. Lord Zeus. I've been in the presence of Hades. This feeling on the beach was different. It was the same thing I felt when I got close to that pit. And that was the entrance to Tartarus, wasn't it? Something powerful and evil is stirring down there, something even older than the gods. Poseidon and Zeus looked at each other. They had a quick, intense discussion in ancient Greek. I only caught one word: father. So the voice is, and if some of you maybe have figured out, the father of Zeus and Poseidon and the gods is Cronus. So he's the king of the Titans, and he's in Tartarus, and he is being reborn, I guess, and he's causing all this trouble. So before Percy leaves, we find out that Percy's mom has been returned. So Hades sent her back. She's back home. Everything seems all nice and good. And he says, you must go, child, but first know that your mother has returned. I stared at him, completely stunned. My mother? You will find her at home. Hades has sent her when you recovered his helm. Even the Lord of Death pays his debts. So finding that helm of darkness, he was able to get his mother returned. So Percy is about to go home, and his dad is giving him some words of advice. He said, when you return home, Percy, you must make an important choice. You will find a package waiting in your room. A package? You will understand when you see it. No one can choose your path, Percy. You must decide. I nodded, though I didn't know what he meant. Your mother is a queen among women, Poseidon said wistfully. I had not met such a mortal woman in 1,000 years. Still, I am sorry you were born, child. I have brought you a hero's fate, and a hero's fate is never happy. It is never anything but tragic. I tried not to feel hurt. Here was my own dad telling me he was sorry I'd been born. I don't mind, Father. Not yet, perhaps, he said, not yet, but it is an unforgivable mistake on my part. I'll leave you then, I bowed awkwardly. I won't bother you again. I was 5 steps away when he called. Perseus. I turned. There was a different light in his eyes, a fiery kind of pride. You did well, Perseus. Do not misunderstand me. Whatever else you do, know that you are mine. You are a true son of the sea god. So he explains a lot of stuff to Percy. Percy's feeling, I would suppose, a little proud that his dad is so happy, and Percy returns home. And Gabe is there. And Gabe is ticked off because he said he's received 500,000 calls from LA for free appliances. So that's a little way Percy can get back at Gabe. Now, he was talking, waiting for his mom, and she finally returns, and Gabe's being kind of rude to her and rude to Percy, and at one point, Gabe gives a little motion towards Sally, and she flinches, like a little, oh. And Percy realizes that at some point in Gabe and Sally's marriage that he has been hitting her. So he was hitting his wife, which is never a good thing. Percy's super, super, super upset at Gabe, and he's, being really lippy to him and wants to take him out. And finally Gabe says, you know what, it was better without you. He kicks him out. But before Percy goes, his mom wants to talk to him a bit, and Percy sees the package on his bed, and he reads it. It's from Mount Olympus. It is a return to sender, meaning the person it was sent to, they don't want it. They're sending it back to the person who sent it, which was Percy, and it is Medusa's head. And Percy, right away, he wants to take care of Gabe. He's like, Mom, just tell me. I'll go and, turn him into stone. But Sally does want him gone. She doesn't like him, but she says, no, Percy. She didn't want Percy to do it. She'll take care of it. So before Percy leaves back to Camp Half-Blood, he decides, I'll leave the package here just in case, Mom, just in case you need it. And as Percy's going, Sally says to Gabe, I'm going to serve you your meatloaf. Surprise, Gabe. And she gives a little wink to Percy, and that's how the chapter ends. So now, that basically sums everything up. Just one more chapter left. I'm not sure what can possibly be discussed any further because Percy's returned the Master Bolt, the war has been averted, and it seems like we're all done. So, thank you for listening, and wait for the exciting summary of chapter 22.